We're coming along to North Bank Park, one of the more recent parks in the city. This is an interesting part of town. There's been a lot of development here, residential development, commercial development, and a major Columbus landmark was replaced in all of this process, and that's the Ohio Penitentiary. A lot of people, I think, just wouldn't realize that it was here because it's full of new housing, tall-rise buildings, and we're going to have an interesting visit with somebody who knows a whole lot about the Ohio Penitentiary. Hello, David. How are you?
Hello, Jeff.
Good to see you. Yeah, thank you for coming out today. So
Well,
tell me
happy to
where
do
we
it.
are.
Well, we're practically in the center of downtown Columbus on the riverfront, where there's been a lot of history that we don't think a lot of people know about, due to the fact that many of the historic monuments and buildings are no longer here.
Well, that's right, because of the buildings here at the North Bank Park are new, because it's a fairly new park.
Yes.
And across the way on the other side of Spring and Long Streets here, you've got wonderful new residential buildings. But there's a bigger story across the street too, because that was the site of the Ohio Penitentiary.
It was, but the story actually started downriver, as far as the Miranova condominiums, where the Cultural Arts Center now stands. The first prison was a 3-story structure, including the basement, and it had 13 cells. And 9 of them were light cells, which mean they had windows, and 4 were dark,
Ugh.
which meant they were the dungeon.
Oh my.
And that was built to hold 60 people in those 13 cells.
Sounds a little crowded.
I imagine it was. Crowding is something that prisoners have gotten accustomed to over the years.
Yeah.
And that's been the downfall of many prisons that have been built.
Well, the Ohio Penitentiary then was a replacement of this earlier structure.
It was.
How big was the site where they built the pen?
It was roughly 20 acres.
Okay, so for comparison, people might know that Capitol Square in downtown Columbus is 10 acres.
Yes.
Double that, and that's how much land the Ohio Penn
Yeah, but
eventually
it
took up.
was still compressed because it was a large prison. It's built for 1,500 people, inmates, and it sometimes got as high as 5,000.
My goodness. When did construction start?
About 1834.
Okay, so it was very early.
Yes, the governor 10 years earlier wanted to build a new prison. And that's how long it takes to get something like that through the legislature and get the funding for it. But they built it, used prison labor, of course, and they continued to build it almost throughout its entire lifetime.
Well, of course, none of that remains. What was the Penn site now is a big part of the Arena District, a complete redevelopment of that area, and a very successful one. And I understand, though, that there may be some pieces of the Penn remaining that we could have a look at.
There are some pieces, and we can definitely take a look
I
at
would
them
guess you know where they are.
this way.
Lead the way. Oh, what a great space with the fountain going all day. I'll bet a lot of kids play in this fountain.
I
And,
imagine so.
And these are stones from the Penn.
These are stones from the Penn. I don't know how they got them, who put them here, but you'll find stones like this around the city, different places.
Well, I
So-
can tell, looking at this is what's known as Columbus limestone.
It is. You can
It's-
see
it's
the
that
fossils.
the vein
are in
that comes
there.
down the
Yes.
Scioto Valley. The State House is built of the same stone. And if you look closely, you see all kinds of fossils. And I think this is something like 400 million years old. It's really, really old.
It's interesting that they were building the penitentiary and the State House at the same
Yeah,
time.
they were.
Overlapped some.
Right.
Penitentiary got done first because I guess there was a more urgent need for that.
Well, that's really good information. A lot of things I didn't know about the Ohio Penn, but I'd love to see more. Could we get over to the site?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We're at the corner of Spring and Neal, and the prison was right over there.
Let's go. Okay, so we're at the corner of Spring and Neal.
Correct.
And behind us is not the Ohio Penn.
Not the Ohio Penn. Not even a good facsimile.
No, but a very nice building.
Very nice
nonetheless.
building.
Good reuse of the land.
Yeah.
It's largely the center of the Arena District, and by any measure, that's been a real plus for Columbus.
Yeah, and be grateful for what we do have.
Yes. Yeah. In
There are
fact,
some scattered pieces. We have many photographs some video.
That's
and
good.
films.
Well, and a lot of people pass through the pen. Who are some of the more famous ones?
Well, one of the earliest ones was John Hunt Morgan, who was a general, Confederate Army, led a raid in 1863 through southern Indiana and into Ohio, and southern Ohio, had 2,500 cavalrymen with him.
That's a lot of
And
horses.
basically undertook this raid against a direct order
Aha.
because he was trying to
I did not know
stage
that.
a psychological
Okay,
warfare.
okay.
And that was what he was interested in. So he didn't really do all that much damage. And he ended up being captured. They rounded up a whole bunch of his men. Some of them were brought to Ohio, some were brought to Pennsylvania, some to Chicago, and imprisoned. Morgan and his officers were put in the Ohio Penitentiary, which was viewed as a slight because he wasn't a criminal, he was a soldier.
Well, and
Yeah.
O. Henry the writer.
Oh, Henry the writer
Sidney
was
Porter?
there, yeah.
Sidney Porter was his
William
name.
Sidney Porter.
What did he do to get himself in the pen?
Well, he got convicted of embezzling, was sentenced to the Ohio Penitentiary. He was really humiliated by that. No one really thinks that he was guilty of committing a crime. They think he was a bad bookkeeper. While he was here, he became a writer and started writing short stories and became one of the most renowned short story writers
so
of all time.
that's when his writing began, was
Yes.
while he was in the pen, isn't that
And
interesting?
the O supposedly stands for Ohio and O. Henry. Later on, during the 1930s fire, you had Chester B. Hines was here, who was an African American from Cleveland, Ohio, kind of ran with a rough crowd, ended up in prison, and he became a writer too, based upon emulating O. Henry.
Huh.
And he wrote a novel about the Ohio Penitentiary fire, autobiographical novel, and he got out and he became famous for writing about two Harlem detectives, and they were based upon two Columbus black detectives, and he followed their exploits in the newspapers and fictionalized them.
It's almost an upside to what was happening in the Ohio Pen.
Yeah, and there were other people who came through. Sam Shepard, Dr. Sam Shepard,
Oh.
and he was convicted of killing his wife up in the Cleveland area. And he, because he was a doctor, he actually became involved as a medical practitioner in the penitentiary. He was exonerated because the court decided that he didn't have a fair trial because the publicity at the time was so prejudicial they didn't feel that they could get a jury.
So what's this about a vampire?
It's one of my favorite stories. Years before anybody ever heard Dracula, we had an inmate named James Brown. In 1867, he was a Portuguese sailor sailing out of Massachusetts, and the captain discovered two of his crewmates dead. And he supposedly claimed that he caught James drinking their blood. So
Yikes.
he was tried for this, but not tried as being a vampire. In fact, that didn't even come up in the testimony. It's just that he was found and they thought they had the evidence that he had killed these two guys. So he was sentenced to prison. And there's stories of him killing rats and drinking the blood and all that kind of stuff. And his behavior was so bizarre that he ended up being sent to Washington, D.C., to St. Elizabeth Asylum. And that's where he spent the rest of his days.
Well, these are really great stories. I'd love to see and hear more.
Well, let's go this way and see what we can find.
All right.
Why don't we just stop here and
Okay.
show you something else?
And that would be?
This is a good place to imagine how deep the prison was. What we had in the back there, in the back corner, you had railroad sidings coming in here.
Oh,
Because
sure.
the inmates they'd unload coal. Back when they had foundries and things, they'd load stuff up to ship it out. So there was a lot of activity going on back there.
I think a lot of State House furniture was actually made at the Ohio Pen, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, inmates did everything. That can't be overemphasized. Once you start working in the prison, inmates were preparing your food, they were doing your typing, they were cleaning up your office, they were helping out in the clinic,
The inmates may not have loved having to do this work, but it's better than sitting around, because sitting around you begin to stew, and that can lead to trouble.
That leads to
And
trouble.
there was some trouble.
Yeah, it was some trouble. If we go back to 1930, we had the prison fire in which 322 inmates died.
Yeah.
That was due to inmates trying to stage a fire in order to escape. And the fire was so hot, the cell doors just, were welded shut.
Oof.
And where we're standing here, there's an overpass for a railroad right behind us. And that is where, when the riot was taking place, they went down to Ohio State, got Army ROTC cadets, brought them here, armed them, and had them stand on the railroad tracks with their guns trained at the walls to keep inmates from leaving.
Now that was a riot separate from the fire. It was a different time from
No,
the
that
fire.
that's what led to the riot. The riot was because the warden did everything wrong he could possibly do. And he went outside and told the National Guard and the Columbus Fire Department to stay away. The inmate fire department could handle this fire. There's nothing, nothing we can't control. It was a disaster.
Well, we've seen so much so far, but I believe there's still a little more yet to see.
There is. It's one that people don't usually recognize as such.
That's my kind of experience.
It's this way.
Let's go. This is not limestone, this is sandstone. And they've survived surprisingly well, because sandstone can kind of melt away over time. And they would have been where? Obviously.
These were up on the very top of the facade.
Okay.
And they were kind of accents.
Right. Those things must weigh close to half a ton. What they could move around in the days before electric power, when horses and steam power was all you had to build things. It's just amazing. Well, there's more, isn't there? We can move on?
Let's go on.
Thank you.
Let's stop here. This is stone that was actually in the streets surrounding the Ohio Penitentiary.
Stone paving.
This is how it was paved at that time.
Durable, but not the smoothest.
Not the smoothest, but it lasted for a long time.
Well, here we are at the north edge of what was the Penn property. There was the wall surrounded the whole thing, of course. We don't have it anymore. When did it close?
You could trace it to 1968.
Okay.
They had a riot in 1968 that was different than any riot that they'd ever had before. And it's because it was a reaction to what was going on countrywide. You had riots in over 150 cities following the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. The inmates weren't immune to that. In fact, the Ohio Penitentiary, the inmates were bubbling over with excitement about what was going on outside of them. And so they ended up taking hostages. They were threatening to burn them alive unless their demands were met. And wound up, Harold Cardwell was the warden at the time. They ended up blowing a hole in the roof and in the wall of the building, cell block, simultaneously.
Wow.
And 5 inmates were killed, but that was really the beginning of the end of the Ohio Penitentiary.
Okay.
Governor Rhodes said it's time to build a new penitentiary. And in 1972, they built Lucasville.
Okay.
In 74, that was the end, pretty much, of the Ohio Penitentiary. And I know, because I was there at the time, this is my...
I was going to say, how come you know so much about the Ohio Penn? Because you were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yes, I was working the psychology department at the time.
A very
And
serious young man.
All of our files were singed from the 1968 riot.
Wow.
So we pull out an inmate file, it'd be burned around the edges.
That's just remarkable. Well, thank you so much. I've learned
Thank you.
tons. Really appreciate the tour, and God,
Anytime.
I can't thank you enough.